how are you? I pray that every one of you are well, and hopefully I can leave something with you in this wonderful evening. Hopefully I can leave something positive with you to those who choose to listen to this live today. You know, whatever the heart truly desires is already understood. Whatever the heart wants authentically is already understood. You won't blame anybody. There is no one to blame or no one responsible for leading you to your desire because you already have it. The desire you have for a thing is already in you, and you will look to see it manifested in some form because it's already in your heart. You know, all of us are spiritual, even if we get in relationships that are questionable. There was already a feeling you had in your heart, already an imagination, already a desire you had that you wanted to be treated in a certain way, already a look in a certain person, already a feeling that was established in you before you ever met the person. And then later you met the person that connected with all of those attributes in your imagination and your feelings and your desire. Not saying that God sent them to you, but what I'm saying is all of us have an authentic desire first, and then later we may meet up with the manifestation. So if there is an authentic desire for a God type of thing or a divine thing, you're going to meet that thing. You're going to have an encounter with a flesh manifestation of the heart. You follow what I'm saying? It's no pastor or no church that can not teach you something about a desire you already have. Because God is so awesome. There is a desire in you for the divine, not for religion, but for the divine that no one on a pulpit can put in there. There is a desire for you to ascend to a reality that of spirituality that no pastor or denomination is responsible for. So you can say they didn't teach me this, but just like there was no one to teach you what type of boyfriend to get or what type of girlfriend to get, even though your parents may say, look for this type of person, every one of us chose what our heart wanted. And sometimes we didn't choose what our parents said. Every one of us chose what we perceived in us. You follow what I'm saying? You found what your heart was craving for. Sometimes you didn't look for what was advised because everyone already has a premonition in themselves at what they want. So even when it comes to the divine, you're going to meet an encounter in the flesh or in an experience that caters to the sacredness you want to live. And I said this earlier in my post, God speaks to everybody because he made everybody, but only lovers of God will listen. Only lovers of God will respond. God speaks to all, but only lovers will listen. God isn't trying to make you in anything. He's not trying to force you to be something so you won't go to hell. I think the major thing that's separating a lot of us is love. The love of God is separating those who have yet to find authentic love with God. It's not just bad or good. It's not just evil that's separating. Love separates those who seek and those who aren't. Love separates those who have an imagination of sacredness in them, who's seeking to experience it in the flesh form. How many of you understand what I'm saying? Because in order to go after God, you must feel God first in you, the same way you went after a relationship, the same way you went after love. It was something you imagined having first. Those of you who are in a relationship, you know what I'm talking about. And we guys did it too. I remember when I was a little boy and I had a crush on this girl. We were at Shadydale and I had a crush on this girl. I was in what grade was I in? I was in the 5th grade and she was in the 4th grade. And I had a crush on her, my God. And I could just imagine being with her. I could just imagine riding bikes with her. And I could just, every time I heard some music, it might have been the Bee Gees, or whenever I heard the Bee Gees, I would imagine this girl. I would imagine talking to her and laughing with her. I was imagining being wanted or accepted by her because I craved acceptance. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be in the mix. And sometimes you can choose what you want to accept you. You could choose who you want to accept you. And sometimes your life isn't pleased. Your life isn't satisfied until your preference chooses you. How many of you can relate to what I'm talking about? I had a preference. And so if you live seeking your preference, you live looking for the approval or the validation of your dreams. I could just imagine this person saying this. I could just imagine this person calling me and doing this. Every one of us has a dream in our heart before we see it in the flesh. And God is usually found when the dream of God is already in you. Am I making sense? God is usually sought after when a pre-dream or a pre-desire is already in you. So you can't blame a pastor for it. You can't blame people for not teaching you, because whatever is desired is already understood. Because God speaks to the pre-dream. God doesn't just speak to you through the pastor. He just doesn't speak through you through a denomination. Oh, he uses them. Believe me, I'm one, I understand. But the pastor after God's own heart will connect you to the pre-dream that you had before joining the church. He will connect you and get you affiliated and acquainted with the voice that was dealing with you before you even asked to be saved. A true teacher and a true father will connect you to the pre-dream experience and not just put you in a formula-based situation and say, well, obey this and obey that. Because we can't obey anything we don't love. It's almost like we treat God like we respect our elders. We'll say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. But they can't tell us what to do. I'm respecting my elders, but that's as far as I go. And to some of us, God is just an elder we respect. We're not seeking him out. We're not looking to do nothing. But we're going to tip our hat when we see him, and we're going to say, yes, sir, yes, God. Now, we're not going to go any further, but some of us look at God the way we look at respecting elders. Am I making sense? See, when I have a pre-dream desire, the same way you have a pre-dream desire of a relationship, marriage, sensual relationships, intimate relationships, you're looking for this type of guy. And it's already in your heart, a silent desire, a silent checklist. You're not telling everybody what type of guy. Even you might talk to your girlfriend and tell her, oh, girl, while you're at work, I want a guy like, whatever. But everybody has a type in them. And so when you meet somebody close to the type, it gets your attention. Why? Because you've already had a relationship with that person before that person ever came to ask you your name. So you see the person, you start going through the checklist. Well, the Holy Spirit is almost like the same thing. Before you seek the Lord, it'll seek you. Before you seek the Lord, you already have a premonition of the nature of the thing that you're looking for. And when you pay attention to the nature of the thing, even before you look for it, when you're in contact with the atmosphere of that thing, you will know I'm in the presence of the Lord. Why? Because that presence visited me before I ever saw it. Am I making sense, guys? Yeah, I am, because I'm speaking from my experience. But hopefully you're understanding what I'm talking about. That essence was there already. And sometimes you can't explain it because you sought the Lord before you actually sought the Lord. And so because you've already pre-sought the Lord before you actually sought the Lord, you can't blame anybody for not telling you something about it. You can't blame anybody for not making something plain that was already made plain to you before they ever talked about it. Because God is an incredible individual. He's an incredible Father. He's going to make sure you know him before you know anybody else. God is going to make sure you already know him before you know anybody else. And he's going to make sure that you could tell his touch beyond anything. So you can't say the pastor didn't tell me about it. Usually if it's a relationship I don't want, I need somebody to blame. Blame is necessary when I need to accuse somebody for forcing me to do what I don't want. Blame is a tool necessary to accuse somebody for wasting my time, for obligating me to some sort of situation that I didn't want to do. So I need somebody to blame because I need somebody to pay for my misuse of time. And sometimes we want to blame people for revealing God to us because they're wasting our time, especially if we are not lovers of the divine. See, you just don't start off loving things. You start off laughing and having a relationship. You get introduced to people, and sometimes humor draws us together. I've seen humor and music bring strangers together. I play keyboards. I play keyboards. So when I play at a restaurant and there are strangers, they'll walk up and say, "You play beautiful." And all of a sudden they say, "I had a friend that." And so therefore that music was a mutual interest that drew us together to start talking. And then later I see them again and they said, "I looked you up on Facebook or I Googled you. You're an interesting person." And then they start talking to me. Every love is just the remembrance of a relationship. It's an encounter that produces joy, that produces pleasure, which induces and introduces a friendship that thrives. And we love to be in one another's company because of the humor, because we don't waste time. And a lot of us never had fun with God. So we feel that he's going to take us away from fun. But when God is who you really want, you can't blame people for showing you how to get him. Nobody has to teach you how to get what you want because you're already looking for it. We have to teach you how to tolerate what you need. But whatever you want, you're already looking for it. You're already open for it. You're already open for the friendship with it. We have to teach you how to do what you don't want. So many times we're teaching people how to respect God as an elder. We don't want to. Some of us are angry. I gotta be saved because I have to be saved, but I don't want to be saved. So it's a tension. I gotta be there, but I don't want to be because if I don't, and it's a tension. So many unhappy believers. So many believers who are not authentically happy because they're being forced to obligate themselves to an elder. And because it's God, we gotta say yes, because who's gonna tell God no? But I could waste his time. I could say yes, and I could give him a yes, but when he's looking for me, I'm nowhere to be found. The best I could do is struggle with him because I respect him. I respect him, and I'm going to tell him yes. Have you ever told somebody yes and you didn't really want to do it? And then you told your friend, "Lord, I told him I would do it. Lord, I wish I could get out of this." And you feel that obligation. So you start looking to be sick. You start looking for traffic. You want something bad to happen. You want something bad to happen so you could call the person and apologize for not showing up. And hopefully they'll believe you enough because you don't want to lie to the person. So hopefully they'll believe you and let you off the hook. Bridget, can I still be heard? He said I lost a connection here. If I can still be heard, just put a thumbs up on me. Yeah, it's like I'm looking to be let off the hook, so I'm just gonna be in drudgery because I'm looking to be let off the hook. And some of us are waiting for God to let us off the hook because we said yes too soon. And so you're gonna live all drudgery and you want God to say, "Don't worry about it." I've been in situations where I felt like I obligated myself, but I didn't have the heart to quit. I just wanted to be replaced. Isn't that amazing? Whatever is truly desired is already understood. You don't need anybody to show you how to go to a place you've already imagined in your heart. So before I go, have you already imagined God? Have you already imagined not just the name of God, but a feeling, a presence of purpose and oneness and clarity and enjoyment? Have you already imagined it? Maybe some of you have already. You gave that attribute to some guy or some woman. Maybe you've already felt God, but you put it in the form of a relationship because you probably thought you already knew who God was. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're with God right now and you're not having any fun, you didn't find him. If you're with God right now and procrastinating, it's because you're not enjoying it. And I'm not talking about enjoying prayer. You're angry because that's all you know about him. You think that's all he is. You haven't met the wisecracking, funny guy that's a beautiful friend. Because whenever you're in the presence of someone you like, you don't ever want to leave. Whenever you're in the presence of a beautiful spirit, you don't ever want to leave. I'm Undrai Fizer.